Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have an entrepreneur and success mentor. After deploying the lessons of the book, Think and Grow Rich, literally word for word, he has changed his life. His daily technique focuses you only on what moves the needle, triples your discipline, and consistently generates new business ideas every week. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you the founder of Think It, Be It, John Mitchell. John, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Larry, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I love what you're doing, and I think your audience is going to find what we're going to talk about interesting, and the really driven ones may find it life-changing. So this will be fun.
So I've actually read the book Think and Grow Rich, and I don't think I've taken it as literal as you, but I want to do the little rewind here, John. Let's I don't want to go all the way back to the womb, but I want to go back to the point where you recognized you needed to change something in your life and what you were doing, and it led to this absolutely amazing growth. The court is yours.
Okay. Well, you know, Lou, when I was 50, I just wasn't as successful as I thought I should be. And, you know, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 30, but at 50, just not as successful as I thought I should be. And I had two goals in my life: to make enough money so I didn't have to work, and to find the woman of my dreams. And so falling short on both of them. And, you know, on the money, you know, at 50, you know, I realized to have the exceptional life I really dreamed of, I had to start netting $1 million a year, as materialistic as that sounds. And then on the girl, at 50, I'd never been married, although I got to say I did a lot of interviewing. Although, you know, Lou, it's funny. I call it interviewing. My friends call it begging. Probably begging's closer to the truth. But, you know, at 50, I'm like, well, how am I going to change things? And then a pearl of wisdom comes to me probably 3 months after I turned 50. Find the top book in the world on success and apply that book literally word for word to my life. So I'm like, wow, that's a pretty good idea. And I remember jumping out of bed that night and doing the research. And, you know, Lou, I discovered that there's one book that's been read by 150 million people. And the next best-selling book on success has been read by less than a tenth of that number. And I'm like, the book is Think and Grow Rich, obviously. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is perfect. So I buy the book, read the book, and then I discover the problem. Book says there's a secret for success, but Napoleon Hill only gives us half of the secret. It's on the reader to figure out the other half. And so, you know, Lou, I mope around for 3 weeks and finally, you know, get up one day and go, John, just figure out the damn secret, man up. And so I man up and I immerse myself in the book. You know, probably read it 20 times over 2 or 3 months. And I discovered the secret and a 12-minute a day technique to apply it. And I started applying it to a new business I was starting in the reverse mortgage field. And quickly, my income starts doubling and doubling and doubling to where I start making 25 times the 200 to 300 grand a year I've been making the prior 20 years. And of course, I felt so blessed. But what was really cool, Lou, is I could see why it was all happening. I was just playing the game of life at a higher level, and I could do things I could never do before. And I had this immense sense of control over my life. And I just became fascinated by the fact that you could take two key scientific principles and apply them to your life and so materially impact your success. And so once I had enough money so I didn't have to work, I sold my company, and I'm thinking I'm going to share this with the world. And this is like 10 years ago. And a couple of months after I sold my company, I meet the former chancellor and president at the University of Texas here in Austin. And he says, hey, you got to teach this at Texas, and why don't we teach it together? And then that led to, he introduced me to the athletic director. And the athletic director said, well, I got to learn this 12-minute a day technique. And so that led to becoming the mental coach for the 18 head coaches. And then the latest iteration is the athletic department sponsored a full 4-credit course at our business school where I'm teaching my methodology to the University of Texas 550 athletes. Amazing. And so that's essentially what I do.
So first of all, thank you for bringing that up. Second of all, we're recording this on January 10th. This episode's coming out late January. And this is actually, Texas is playing tonight in the semifinals. I know you're aware of that. There's a football game.
I've heard that. I heard that.
Against Ohio State. And I know that they're not the favorites in this game. Lord knows there's been some technicalities about the Arizona State game, whether they should even be this far.
Yeah.
But, who knew that nobody knew the rules about field goals that bounce and go through the uprights? But that being said, I'm wishing you luck tonight, and hopefully our luck moves it forward. I want to talk about the 2 scientific principles. I don't want to go through the whole 12 minutes a day just yet. I want to talk about these principles. How did you, I'm not discrediting you, but you didn't know that much about the scientific stuff throughout your life. How did this come about? How did you figure out those particular aspects as you were diving into the secret? And maybe you could share a little bit about that with the listeners.
That's a good observation because I didn't have a scientific background. But if you don't mind, can I tell your audience something really personal, and this will explain how I figured out the science and actually give your audience the secret, which is, I think, what everybody's interested in. So, as I mentioned, I'm 50. I'm not as successful as I think I should be. But I tell you, Lou, the other thing that's going on in my life was a little more than feeling just a scarcity of time. My mom was dying of pancreatic cancer. And so like every day I'd go see her in the hospital and I'd hold her hand and I'd love on her and then I'd go back in the hospital parking lot and just cry my eyes out for 30, 45 minutes every time. And this is going on for like 8 weeks. And, I never experienced anything like that. And obviously I'm feeling the impending loss of my mom, but I knew there was something more going on. And what I realized ultimately was that I felt like I was letting my mom down with my life. My parents gave me everything. They sent me to Jesuit High School in Dallas and it just gave me all the advantages. Yet, at 50, all I had to show for it was an average life. And Lou, I hated the average life because I felt like I was capable of so much more. And I believe that feeling of letting my mom down was like rocket fuel and causing me to go deeper into Think and Grow Rich and figure out the full secret more so than anybody else on the planet. And I remember the night that I sort of discovered the full secret. This particular night, it was snowing in Dallas, and I'd gone and seen my mom and cried my eyes out in the parking lot. And I'm driving home, and I'm seeing the big snowflakes hitting my windshield. But I get home, and I decide I'm going to read some of Think and Grow Rich. And this night I read that your success in life comes down to your daily actions. The cumulative effect of your daily actions determine your success in each area of your life. And I'm like, that's a pretty simple way of looking at success. I never really looked at it like that, but by that. And then the second thing that it says is that 95% of your daily thoughts and actions are unconscious. I'm like, that's interesting. And so, Lou, I'm ready to go to bed. I get ready for bed and I lay down and but I just can't stop thinking about how 95% of your daily thoughts and actions are unconscious. And I remember laying in bed, and then it sort of hits me, wow, if your daily actions determine your success and 95% of them are unconscious, then you don't control the very thing that determines your success in life. And if you want to have a higher level of success, you're going to have to gain control of it. And the fact that it's unconscious means that it's controlled by your subconscious mind. And I remember, that laying in bed, and it's like an epiphany, and I sit up in bed and I see the snowflakes falling in the backyard, and it's one of those surreal moments. And then the full secret of Think and Grow Rich comes to me. And that full secret is what you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And let me say that again for your audience. What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And what that means is you create immense clarity about your life. Exactly the person you want to be, exactly what you want to accomplish, and precisely how you can achieve your clearly defined goals. And so you create that clarity, and then you put it on a template that I was creating at the time, and that made it succinct enough that it only took 12 minutes a day to read, and it also applied the science of the subconscious mind, which it only responds to things that are specific. And so once I got it on the template, then I just fed it to myself every day, and that's the repetition that the subconscious mind requires to be influenced. And after 21 days, the magic happens, and the right action started happening automatically without thinking. And so that's essentially how I discovered it, and a little of the science behind it.
We've had a lot of guests on the program, John, who stress the power of manifestation, positive thinking, all of this. I think what I like about what you have encapsulated is you've made it task driven. You've made it into making it a process, a routine, a ritual, a passion of drawing out the stuff that's within us and what we want to be. And I think, we have so many distractions every day. We have so many things that will make us run the regular route of life. But I also think it's important to recognize that we have the power to adjust and change that. How soon after you started deploying this 12-minute-a-day thing did you start seeing the results that you were looking for?
One result was obviously I felt totally in control of my life. Of course I would. I'm feeding the succinct articulation of my life to myself each day. That was immediate. But the subconscious mind, in fact, if you don't mind, can I explain how the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind?
Please, bring it up. Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, conscious mind sets your intentions and is influenced by logic. Subconscious mind controls your daily thoughts and actions, at least 95% of them, and it's only influenced by repetition. As an example, let's say you want to lose weight. Conscious mind sets the intention to lose weight based on the logic of the health benefits. But the reason people fail to lose weight is not from lack of intention, it's from lack of influencing the part of their brain that's controlling their actions, eating and exercising. And the subconscious mind only responds to repetition. It doesn't care about logic. And so that's how the human mind works. And so what you see today in the success business, I think, is that everybody's talking about the conscious mind and influencing their intentions, and in the success business, there's all sorts of strategies, focus on what moves the needle, be a conduit of learning, and a lot of great strategies. But it's useless if you're not impacting the doing part of you, which is the subconscious mind. And that's, I think, the difference in what I bring to the table is that this is an actual way of doing life.
Right.
And I see that most people are just winging life. They don't have an actual way of doing life. And the effect is they have nothing pulling them forward to their desired life, so they keep on recreating their life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it clear as day. And what's so amazing is I think the discipline component is really what needs to be worked on the most. I think, there's been hundreds and thousands of books written about ways that we can change and do things. One hit
Right.
home with you. And then I love the fact that you just dove deep and decoded it and literally just absorbed all of it and made part of it every day of your life. One of the things that I learned about some of the stuff that you do is the frequency of generating new business ideas. So as part of this discipline in determining the think it, be it way of doing things, which is what your business and your brand is all about, coming up with all these new ideas. I know serial entrepreneurs, I know serial idea people. Coming up with new business ideas every week is a great idea. Figuring out which ones to deploy and go with it. Can we talk about that aspect of it? You're creating positivity and new ideas out in the universe. How do you figure out which ones of those to put into action and to drive home when you come out with all those things? Because I'm pretty sure not every one of those ideas is going to be the one that puts more money in your pocket, or maybe it is. Help us understand that connection.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this because I've just listened to your podcast interview with John Maxwell. And he talks about how, leaders need to set aside time to think, which is one of the foundational principles that I teach in my methodology, this idea that you need to set aside time to deep think 2 times a week. And I have a 3-step process for doing that. Essentially you set aside about 30 minutes. You pick your favorite place in nature, and the first 10 minutes you just let whatever comes to you come, and then the second phase of it is you ask yourself a question, usually around whatever your biggest challenge at the moment is, and figure out the question, then answer the question. That causes the mind to go deeper. And the third step is just to recap what you've learned and the action steps. But, this has been transformative for me. In fact, I'll give you a very quick example. I came up with a $6 million idea from this. It was shortly after I got into the reverse mortgage business. And I'm thinking, having a thinking session, I'm like, how can I leverage the business more? And it occurs to me that every reverse mortgage needs a title policy. So why don't I get in the title business? I was blessed to be the biggest reverse mortgage company in Texas and 4th biggest in the country. So we were doing a big volume, but we were handing that business to somebody else. And so I'm like, wow, that's a pretty good idea. And so from that, ultimately, you're blessed to make $6 million on the idea just from that thinking session. And there were hundreds of thinking sessions that gave me new ideas that were never coming out before. And of course, all this was reaffirmed in my life GPS template that I was reading 12 minutes a day.
I want to ask this question because I think it's relevant. When you figured out the way you wanted to be in those 12 minutes and those ideas that came out and who you wanted to be, I'm imagining that the version of yourself X number of years ago versus the version of yourself today has evolved and changed and grown. So somewhere in this way that you want to be and bringing out that subconscious into the conscious and getting it into your template, what does that look like? Like if you look back at what the previous versions have been, case in point, I'm sure in that earlier version, you were still looking for the person maybe that you wanted to be with earlier on. And that obviously changed along the lines. Explain the evolution of who you want to be each day. And I guess it might be different each day or it's similar. And I'd love to hear the migration of what that is and what that means to you and to the listeners who would want to follow this method.
Okay. Well, and I'd like your input on this. I see how radically different doing my best evolved. When I was 40, I thought, I wasn't as successful as I thought I should be. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do my best because that's all I can control. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to double down on that. And I worked harder than all my friends, and that's why I sort of thought I deserved big success. Later did I discover that it's way better to work smarter than harder. That's what my methodology really is. But at 40 and into my 40s, doing my best simply was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, effort. And then I got to be 50, and I discovered this methodology, and I had this new enhanced control over myself. And I saw that doing my best was really 6 components. The first one was being highly organized with a system. The second one was setting aside time to deep think. I come up with that concept. Then I saw that I had to be a conduit of learning, where I had to have the wisdom of experts flowing into my head every day, and it had to be strategic relative to what I wanted to accomplish. And before that time, I was, quote unquote, too busy for personal growth. Big mistake. How unenlightened is that? And then I started to realize, I need to focus only on what moves the needle. Okay, that makes sense. And then the game changer was understanding how the human mind works and controlling my unconscious daily thoughts and actions. But it was a combination of those things that radically changed my understanding of doing my best. And once I was doing my best in my 50s, now I'm making 25 times what I was making when I just thought doing my best was effort. And so I'm curious, how has doing your best changed?
So there's an interesting part I'd say here, that I used to think doing my best was work hard, and since I'm all about making the connections that I need to make.
Right.
I think, to me, it's also in creating this content, bringing people like you to the world out there, we're actually creating an energy that somebody out there, one person, 10 people, 1,000 people, hear and resonate with this message, that by creating this constant bit of wonderful understanding of those that are thriving and moving onward and upward, it's helping other people do the same, and it's almost creating a positive energy that is associated with the world that we deal with. That, to me, is a little bit of the working smarter and more focused and doing the things that I love to do, and know that those have generated success, and it does. Because I have found that when I wasn't doing that, or I was more focused inward or doing some other stuff, it wasn't creating the same effect. Now, do I have the discipline as you have had? I need to put that more into place, because in some cases it has. And that, by the way, this is what spawned Thrive Loud Productions, which is what produces this show and many other shows as well, to help bring other people's voices and connect there so they can do the same thing. We've basically created almost like the effect of this energy creating station, if you would. And
right.
knowing and helping other people learn how they can do it has been the most effective component of this. So it's taking the skills of not only just me connecting for my selfish things, but helping other people do the same, that has helped grow what I do. I share that with listeners. People know that. People have listened to this, have benefited from it. We've had people like yourself share this message. We've also had people who we help do that for, who have their own shows and programs. So I think it's that aspect of it that I've found works the most effectively.
Right. Well, that is interesting. And one of the things I've realized is that our biggest problem, all of our biggest problem, is we are innately wired for survival. Yep. And which the effect is, 75% of our thoughts are fear-based. We're reactive rather than proactive on our important agenda. And we're profoundly resistant to change. Well, when your eyes open every morning, that's how you're innately wired to be. And which is great, 50,000 years ago, but it's exactly the opposite of how you need to be if you want to be productive, creative, and happy. And so this 12-minute a day technique overrides that. And it also overrides that negative inner voice that a lot of people have. And I'm like, what a lousy way to live with a negative inner voice. And this is what I teach our athletes at the University of Texas, and in particular our football team. The idea of you got to be your own best friend, and let me show you how to override that negative inner voice to where you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Because that's how I roll, and I bet you that's how you roll.
Yeah, it's totally true. I would love for you to share with the listeners, John, one important question I love to ask guests like yourself. Look, you have figured out a way to continue thriving in your life and in your business and the passion that you have gone through, which is why you're here on Thrive Loud today. When we have those days that we're not quite kicking on all cylinders, we're a little off our game. Maybe we're not tapping into that 12-minute technique, or something's distracting us, or whatever it is there a practice you seek or an individual you seek out to help get you back centered on the thriving track?
Lou, that's a great question. I tell you, I focus on my future self. I'm feeding myself the succinct articulation of my desired life. And so it's so easy, if I ever get off track, just to focus on that future self that I'm continually refining, and it brings me back to, having the confidence that I normally have. And so that's how I do it.
Love it. Let's do the admin part of the show, John, before we go down Fun Street here on Thrive Loud.
Okay.
Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URL, things that they can have. I know you have a special offer for our listeners. Your book has just come out. Let everybody know all the info. They'll hear it from you. We'll put it in the notes, but that's more engagement now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if people want to learn about this 12-minute a day technique, here's a little freebie I have for your show. It's a 9-minute video that I created that explains the full secret of Think and Grow Rich and the science behind it. And all I got to do is go to www.themissingsecret.org, and you will then be able to get the video. And if you want to buy the book, it's now released, and it's The Missing Secret of the legendary book Think and Grow Rich, and you can buy it on Amazon. But that's how people can reach me is www.themissingsecret.org.
Love it. All right. I know he's been thinking about it. He's been dreaming about it. He probably incorporated it this morning when he woke up and did his 12-minute routine. John Mitchell, you ready to go down Fun Street here with me on Thrive Loud?
Let's go.
All right. We're going to start off with a question that gets you going here. Does John Mitchell have a favorite movie of all time, or one of those go-to things that if it happens to be on television or whatnot, you're just instantly looped back in and got to watch it through?
I'm a big fan of Wall Street. Remember Wall Street?
Of course.
But I would say the movie When Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, which talks about heaven and hell, which is fascinating.
I love that movie, and optically amazing. I think it won an Oscar for all of the.
Yeah, I know. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Awesome. And we do miss him because he was such an inspiration.
Yeah.
All right, here we call this the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. It's like going down 6th Street in Austin, stopping at all our favorite places. They're all speakeasies, but these are all the places that matter the most to you. Here we go. John Mitchell, of late, is there a song that you've been listening to, or one that's like your jam, you just can't get out of your head, that's pumping you up?
I tell you, I'm into music big time. The mind thrives on order, and music is all about order. And I just recently taught my class how to listen to music in a way that makes it way more enjoyable. I started playing blues guitar a few years ago, and so I learned the order of music and how music works, and how there's typically 4 beats to the song. And my favorite song is Ave Maria.
Wow.
There's a great rendition of it that is so powerful. And oftentimes I'll go down, I live on Lake Austin, and at night the moon is shining on the lake, and I'll just play it on my speaker for all my neighbors to hear, probably. But it's so powerful, to see that the moon shining down on the lake and this amazing rendition of Ave Maria. It's just powerful. So if I ever have a guest that comes over and it's night, we'll go do that.
Love it. A favorite food that's not a dessert?
Cheeseburger.
Favorite dessert?
Let me think about that. Chocolate cake.
An activity you wish you did more of?
I wish I played more music. I got in a band, and it's totally fun to jam with guys, and I wish I did that more.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Boy, that's a good one. I don't know. What would I like to do less of? I don't know the answer to that.
I love asking very intentional people who have a very disciplined way of focusing things this question, because they usually already have it mapped out their whole day, but every now and then there might be something. So,
okay. But it's interesting because I'm taking control of my subconscious mind. There's not really things that I wish I wasn't doing, because I have control over my life.
I love it. That's where it is. Can you share an activity you've recently tried, a new one that you like so much that you want to tell everybody else to try?
Let me think. I tell you, the newest activity is I taught my class with all my methodology at the McCombs School of Business. And I think this gives credibility, hopefully, to what I do. McCombs is one of the top 5 rated business schools in the country. And so it was hard to get my methodology approved. It took 2 years to do it. And so I just taught it for the first time last semester. And it was the coolest thing I've ever done, I got to say. It just, the impact of taking those lives, and in fact, I had Arch Manning was in my class. Half the class is athletes and half is not athletes. But that was the coolest thing. And so I would say teaching is the lesson for your audience.
I love it. If I could snap my finger and John Mitchell can be anywhere in the world, where is he?
I'm thinking maybe Bora Bora in Tahiti.
Awesome stuff. The last question we go here, you addressed it in the beginning. Has John Mitchell found a significant other, another person in his life to share his life and all these dreams with?
He damn sure did. In fact, I found her about a year and a half after I started doing this methodology. And she is the light of my life. And I see that the art of living largely is the art of being great in a marriage. And so I'm always refining that process.
Love it. John Mitchell, shout out to Laban Ditchburn, who connected us, been a guest on the show, brought us together here. And John, think it, be it. Everybody check out. Obviously, his book is just out there. Go get it right now. It's The Secret. It's what you need to know from all the secrets out there. TheMissingSecret.org is where you can find everything else here in the 9-minute video. John Mitchell, truly a pleasure to have you on Thrive Loud. Thank you for what you're doing, and great to have you on the program.
Okay, thank you, Lou.
To all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.